So it looks like AOC and Jill Stein are having themselves a little catfight. And it's almost like we have one liberal who's actually principled and stands by what they say versus another liberal who just sold out to the system. I'll let you figure out which one I'm talking about. It starts with A. What annoys me about AOC, she's going with the Bernie Sanders strategy. I'll just try to change the system within and just be corrupted by it, and hopefully they'll actually give crumbs to the American people. You should ask how that turned out for Bernie Sanders. He literally sold out to Hillary Clinton, got nothing, and then he sold out to Joe Biden, got nothing. He was like, I'm going to get you all a raise in the minimum wage. And then they were overruled by the Senate parliamentarians. So they're just going to say to these people, hey, yeah, we agree with you. We're going to give you what you want at some point. And then they're going to find some bullshit technicality being like, oh, we were going to give you what you wanted, but oh God, that Senate parliamentarian. Why can't people be like Ron Paul, someone who's been principled all through Congress, and then at the very end, they were like, well, you need to endorse Romney, you have to endorse our candidate, and he's like, no, screw that, I'm not endorsing Mitt Romney. On the Breakfast Club, the interviewer was grilling her saying, why has the Green Party not been successful? It's not like we're living in a duopoly system that only gives us two choices and they like it that way, and they're going to do everything within their power to keep it that way. And they'll keep saying Jill Stein doesn't have any impact during our elections. Well, I don't know if that's true if you're trying to get her kicked off of ballots in New York, but it's funny how they say the voters have the power and then they vote for someone they don't like and they're just going to be like, well, we're going to shame you for voting for that person. How well did that work out for Hillary Clinton in 2016? And the primary reason I think anyone would vote for Jill Stein is because they disagree with the Biden administration's handling of Gaza. And Jill Stein actually puts her money where her mouth is. She got arrested after she protested with the pro-Palestinian protesters in the universities. Do you think any of the people in charge would ever do anything like this? Of course not. But that at least shows she actually believes in what she's saying. Another reason people vote for Jill Stein is because they're sick of the counterinsurgency wars and the endless war machine and the pissing contests we have with Russia in this current proxy war we're in with Ukraine that the US taxpayers had to be the piggy banks for. But go ahead, AOC, think you're going to change the system within. You're not. And one thing I wanted to speak on this Israel-Palestine issue, a vote for Jill Stein is a vote against genocide. First of all, I'm not going to call it a genocide. I'm going to wait for the ICJ ruling. All these liberal talking heads who keep saying it's a genocide, number one, are going to vote for Kamala Harris anyways. But two, I don't think you're qualified to actually call something a genocide just because you disagree on how they're waging their war. And there's an argument that what Benjamin Netanyahu's doing currently, another prime minister who would replace him would just be doing the exact same thing. And anyone who watches my channel, I've been a critic of this war, but I had never called it a genocide. I just disagree that you can deliberately starve a civilian population. And then they're going to go with the idea that Jill Stein is the spoiler candidate who only shows up every 4 years to take votes away from Democrats. There's a kernel of truth in this, but aren't you the same people who are saying we're the defenders of democracy? Shouldn't you, in theory, want more candidates because that's democracy working, right? And in theory, more Democrats would vote for Jill Stein because she's a polar opposite of Donald Trump. And also, if a Michigan voter happens to come across this video, are you really going to be fooled when Kamala Harris goes up there in the DNC and says, I'm working tirelessly for a ceasefire? She's just lying to your face, bro. Because if that were true, she would threaten to cut off the weapons supply to Israel in order to actually accommodate this so-called hostage deal. But I think you're smart and you should know when you're being duped. It's the exact same policies as Joe Biden. It's just going to be nice words and platitudes from here. And the one thing that annoys me, don't shame people for voting who they want to vote for. They would just say, well, you're wasting your vote. Wasting your vote is voting for someone you don't believe in. That's wasting your vote. And if Kamala Harris loses, they're just going to blame Jill Stein rather than Kamala Harris herself. And this is just a way to deflect responsibility like Hillary Clinton did when she lost her election. You know, if you were an actual leader, you would say, the buck stops with me. I should have ran a better campaign. Congratulations, Donald Trump, for winning. Crazy that I believe candidates should just take responsibility when they lose. And I just think shaming voters just makes them more entrenched in their current positions. But I'm a sucker, I guess. But hats off to you, AOC. You're just a useful idiot for the establishment at this point because you're just attacking someone you probably agree with more anyways.